Hello all, this is Eric again. The subject today is going to be graphite versus steel shafts. We're going to show you a little bit of, again, so we can validate some things. I have two shafts here, the Aerotech steel fiber 110 constant weight shaft versus a Modus 105 stiff. They're both stiff flex shafts. The 110 constant weight is supposed to be 110 grams. With the grip would come out 160-ish. With the Modus 105, it's supposed to be 105 with a grip on 155-ish. So let's take a look real quick and see. Right now I have the Modus on the scale, and that is looking like 160.5 grams. And then we're going to take a second here and put the 110 constant weight on, and you'll see it's 166.5. So again, roughly a 5 or 6 gram difference between the two. And as far as being able to give it a physical test, today I'm going to use just a Mizuno Hot Metal Pro. This way, again, it's a fairly generic game improving head, that not trying to be two players, not trying to be two game improving, anything along those lines, to create too much bias. So now I'm going to hit a few, maybe 5 with each, again, to see what numbers come out of it. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more along the lines of similar than it would be drastically different, again, with the head being the same, but the two shafts being the difference. Again, similar mass, but a different composition, one being graphite and the other one being steel. So I'm going to set it up on the pod so you guys can see. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so we'll start off with the Modus 105. Like I said, just a couple, maybe 4 or 5 times, just to see what it's like. I'm going to film the first one and then I'll cut to when I change the shaft. Okay. Okay, so I spared you all the look at my horrific swing. Just trying to be real here. Like I said, I'm just an average player, not like tour caliber or anything along those lines, so it's sort of pointless to watch me do it. But at the same time, it does tell you one thing with the results. That would dictate that at least they move it similar regardless each time. So I'm going to switch here the camera around. And again, just like in the ones in videos in the past, we'll go line by line and take a look at some things, okay? And keep in mind, again, this is the difference between a similar shaft, both in steel and in graphite, similar weight, same grip, same head. And again, to try to find performance differences between them, okay? So I'm gonna pause this and flip the camera around. Okay, so my apologies for not tagging the top one, which happened to be the the Modus, Nippon Modus 105 stiff, and the other one on the bottom is the Aerotech 110 constant weight. And again, we saw with the very beginning that there's about 6 grams difference between those two shafts. So again, going from one side to the other, face angle for some reason or another, the steel shaft, the Modus, I'm leaving a little bit more open. That's really just probably swing for swing. Variance, again, not me not being a professional. If we're looking at the launch angle differences, again, is about 1. So at that point, we would call that almost exactly the same. Club head speed was 0.8 of a degree of a mile per hour different between the two. Ball speeds were within 1/10 of 1 mile per hour. Swing, the spin rate of each one of them, you can see it's a little tighter tolerance than that. Attack angle was 0.3 of a degree different. The carry distance on each one of them was 0.3 of a yard difference between the two. Totals were then respective to that, and smash factors 1.3 and 1.37, 1.38. And when we're looking at another important number, which is land angle, so that's the angle of the ball descending into the green. The sharper it is, around 50, 51 degrees, the more that ball is going to come in sharply with lesser spin and hold without really creating a ton of backspin and coming off and such. So all of these numbers are fairly interesting. But I'm going to switch the camera around. I had been trying to do this video again for a little while. I have an older version, just basically trying to explain it physically from one to the other. But You know, often in the shop, we get people that come in and say, well, I'm getting older, I need graphite so I can make up some yardage. Look, by the time it's all said and done, it goes back to some of the other things. Don't give a shaft too much promise, and don't listen to people that are making promises for a shaft that really may not be able to work. You can see basically between those two, the variations that you're getting and each one of those ball flights and conditions is just the fact that I am not a touring professional. I make good swings, I hit the ball just fine, but to be honest with you, I'm not at a tour caliber level. So with that, I'm gonna have variations that are gonna create big differences. Well, not big differences, but enough of a difference that you can see small, you know, changes, tenths of a degree here, 1 degree there, so on and so forth, a few hundred RPMs. But the fact that somebody says that a graphite shaft, oh, it's too spinny, it's gonna make me hit it all over the place. That was the same head, 2 different shafts, same number of hits. That's 5 with each. And again, this way, look guys, it's not magic. If you're looking at a steel shaft, steel transfers vibration, right? Everything being relative and the weight of the shafts being the same, or at least within a few. Obviously, you wouldn't find anything that was identical unless you made it that way, right? But all that being, you know, again, accounted for the sake of trying to experiment. Look, if you have a 110 gram and 105 gram steel shaft and they hit identical, it's what feels good to you. Graphite, the basic property of the material itself is going to be that of vibration absorption. So if you have sore hands, if you have sore shoulders, back, so on and so forth, you might be able to absorb a little bit more of that vibration that's coming through to your hands from golf clubs that are, or from golf shots that is, that are going to be hit well and hit poorly. But with graphite, you're just going to absorb some of that vibration. So that can make you feel better after 18 holes and such. It's not this massive performance difference and saying, oh, you know, like this is just for good one person or another. Now, when it comes to graphite, a benefit, a true benefit, is for a person that might have a slower swing speed and that might need more help with a lighter golf club because of that modest swing speed. Being able to swing something a hair lighter might actually help to increase some efficiency rather than fighting that piece of equipment because it's too heavy for the sensations that are created when they swing, right? Because in the end, that's why somebody would respond better or worse to a golf club, because when a golf club is swung, it has a total mass, which is quantifiable, length quantifiable, all these things that are quantifiable, but the shaft's flex and its swing weight at that point, the proportion of balance between those two clubs, has kind of an intangible, but yet a realistic effect on what happens to a golf club. Somebody that's generally going to move the club around a lot on a downswing is going to need something that's light and flexible, generally a lighter swing weight, in order to be able to get the most out of whatever it is that they have. Versus the opposite side, somebody has a nice solid, you know, swing that moves around very efficiently, then that person will generally find that a heavier, stiffer piece of equipment, they can hit off of the middle a little bit more frequently. Again, notice I don't talk a lot about in laws, because a lot of these variations can change. And like I've said in the past, sometimes for all the things that we test and all the things that I'll show you, it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is gospel. Sometimes people use golf clubs and aspects of the fitting, you know, whether it's heavy swing weights, light swing weights, longer golf clubs, shorter golf clubs, heavier golf clubs, lighter golf clubs, and it's sometimes the only things that they can use. So to try to explain why that kind of works for some people, I don't know. You know, I've seen it over the years of there are sometimes no explanations, but if you find something that works for you, be hard pressed to get it out of your hands. But put faith in a club maker or a club fitter, something, you know, somebody that's local to you, where you have the ability to be able to test some things and test some theories to try to find an improvement. There's nothing wrong with all of this stuff. This is all just experimentation, and I'm hoping all of this information getting to you is allowing people to be able to explore ideas that they have, ideas that some people might have given them, whether it's a teaching professional or a fellow fitter or a club maker or something along those lines, okay? Well, thanks again for watching, and I appreciate it. We're gonna continue on with some other installments, and they're gonna be from all over the place, okay? So have a great day. Take care.